Hello, and welcome to Right for America. Issues that unite, don't ignite. I am your host, Cindy Gross. I'm also known as the Jewess Patriot, but you don't have to be Jewish to be a part of our show, as many of you know. And to all of our new followers, welcome. This is a place where everyone is welcome. We discuss headlines and topics and trends that are important to all of us. Before I begin each and every show, and because of my opening, this is very important this week. I do want to again reiterate the disclaimer that you saw before my show, but add into it that this show does not always agree with the views that are shared with our guests and with the people that are on other shows on the station, and that we, Cindy's Corners Productions, Right for America, WGBB, and all the other outlets that we are on, are not responsible for anything that is said on the show. With that being said, before I get into the excitement of the topic of today, because I had to change my whole show around due to popular request of the audience, but we have a very serious matter that we must discuss. And as you know, I open each and every show with my pearls of wisdom because my Jewish name is Zisel Perel, which means sweet pearl. This week is very close to home. It's about the discussion of anti Semitism and anti Zionism. There is a host on another show who I have had very little, if no contact with, other than being on the same station. And he had posted a couple of things that were anti Semitic. And I am going to give the benefit of the doubt that maybe he didn't know they were anti Semitic, but they actually are vile anti Semitic remarks. And when this person, James Justice, decided to go on social media and discuss something and try to explain himself, he made it even worse. I'm going to read to you exactly. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want this to become the whole discussion. I want to be here to educate. And basically, he wrote that Zionist bankers, was the words he used to describe it, and he doesn't understand that he wrote that he really doesn't like many Zionist bankers and the minions. Well, that is one of the oldest stereotypes of anti Semitism. Whether or not it was used in the Middle Ages, you got that through Shakespeare, you've seen it through the revolutions. If you study the history of Judeo Christian values, you understand why many Jews became bankers, because they were not allowed to work in many industries they initially wanted to. They weren't allowed to go to medical and law schools. They weren't allowed to be teachers. And banking was a way, and industry was a way for them to make a living, support their families, and escape anti Semitism. If you think about it, Wall Street was like that a lot, and Hollywood was like that. The founders of Hollywood, when they say Jews owned Hollywood, well, today that's certainly not true, but the Jews started Hollywood as an escape. Every single one of the first major leaders of a Hollywood studio was an immigrant here who left Europe after the thoughts of facing prosecution, pogrom, and death. In fact, if you ever read the story behind the scenes of Casablanca, it's probably the best example of a cast who has background and stories of family members killed as they were filming this movie in concentration camps, family members escaping, and their own stories of survival. So I know that now on social media, especially, I guess started by Tucker Carlson and going through Candace Owens, and the list goes down the line, it has become hip from the ultra right to be anti Semitic and using the statement, oh, we're not against Jews, we're just against Jews that support Israel. First of all, Christians support Israel, Christian Zionists. Our own ambassador, Mike Huckabee, is a proud Christian Zionist whose work was known in Israel for Jews, Christians, and Muslims who live in Israel for many decades. I know because I've been here there with Ambassador Huckabee, and I know his family has been involved, and I've met with him many times in the United States. So when you write something about Jewish Zionist bankers, that is the most vile anti Semitism. And if anybody has any kind of questions about this, you can reach out to me at Right for America at the warehouse because I can't say whether or not he did it deliberately or he did it without the knowledge of what he was actually saying. But I, as the Jew-S patriot, will not accept it, and I cannot remain silent, even if it's on the station. So please use this as a tool for bringing peace and unity and teaching facts. We Republicans and conservatives are supposed to be much better than those on the extreme left that are trying to destroy America. And that's my opening. I'd love to hear your thoughts because we have a huge show today, totally different. We actually had a couple of great big guests on, but after my experience this week on Purple Heart Day, I was asked by so many to change the show and share my experience at the White House and meeting President Donald J. Trump. So I'm going to show you first a first series of pictures. Some of the pictures, they're all mine, exclusive. Some of them might have been shared on social media. Some of them you might have seen. I hope some of the videos could come up. If not, I will be sharing them privately. But here is a series of going into the White House. Thank you so much. So you got an idea. I was invited to the East Room, which I've been invited to the White House before, as many of you know, and I was in the main buildings in the West Wing, but I've never been in the East Room like this in a very intimate setting of about 150 people. And boy, does it make a difference between 500 and 150. And it was a glorious day celebrating Purple Heart Day. And I wasn't invited as media. I was invited for my activism and for a group I work with. And it happens to be, I said to them, I know a Purple Heart recipient from the Vietnam War. And they said, please bring him. And I also work with one of the Long Island veterans groups. And I asked if I could bring the leader of that organization. And they said, sure, because he actually runs a food bank for veterans 3 times a week. And I'm very active in it. So we got to the White House, and it's always a special treat to go to the White House. But even more amazing is the wait to get into the White House, who you see there, and what the anticipation is. And of course, this was a very special, special group. I had a feeling there were going to be certain people from the administration, several secretaries there, and I actually was accurate on all of them. And the next series of pictures are actually going into the White House, what we could share, and the president actually addressing the audience and actually giving Purple Heart recipients the pens. He wrote the proclamation, the executive order declaring Purple Heart Day 2025. So we could have the next series of pictures, please. I will tell you that there were only 5 rows of seats, so no one had a bad seat and the angles were perfect. And the service was spectacular. It was on the money. I will tell you that President Donald Trump has never sounded, never looked better. I have been with him before, not, and I really have to say he is so confident, so positive, so uplifting. And as I called this show, 10 years, three campaigns plus 200 days. I never saw him this good. I never saw him so enthusiastic. And I never saw him feel so comfortable with all the people around him. As he was signing the executive order, he joked that he's not signing it with auto pens, and everybody laughed. He hugged Purple Heart recipients, and he was even joking, but he was serious. But he was so comfortable saying it; it was like a conversation with your neighbor or your friend at the warehouse. He was like saying, "You guys don't have to worry. If you're running late on your mortgages, veterans, I'll take care of you." And boy, did he get an ovation for that. And he meant it from his heart. It wasn't something that he had to look at a notes or any idea. You know, he didn't have to ask anybody. That came straight from his heart, and he repeated it, and it was just incredible. And I think we have a next set of pictures with some of the dignitaries that were there. I'm sorry, that was meeting President Trump. And somehow the angle I was at, I was the picture. It could have been because of my hat, if you could see it. I don't know if it's coming up clear or not. The lady with the pearl hat. And I was right with him, and he walked up to me, and I whispered something that I will keep private between me and the president. And he liked what I said to him, and he said, "Stay here. I'm going to take a picture with you." And even to the point my camera wasn't working, and he shook the hand of the soldier next to me, the veteran, and then he came back to me, and he was just friendly and warm, and he smiled, and he left, and it was just incredible. But the biggest surprise was I was still in Washington on my way home, and all of a sudden people called me 11:03. You're on Fox News, the opening story. And little did I know that press from all over were putting me on the cover of their newspapers the next day, including USA Today. And of course, the Associated Press and Getty Pictures both used my picture with the president. They took several shots. I think I have 8 different shots. I don't know. I can't keep up with what people are sending me. I couldn't have asked for a better PR campaign than that. And I was just so proud and honored. And he was just so receptive to me. It was something I will never forget. And he doesn't even know that I ran for Congress as a Trump candidate, that I was with him in Cleveland. I went to both inaugurations. I sat in the presidential suite at the inauguration in Milwaukee with one of his biggest donors. I I went to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I was there for executive order signings and Hanukkah parties, and I've been working with the education team because of my longest running lawsuit in New York City with whistleblower protections and teaching education, and working now trying to get work done as the Department of Education is going into states, and of course continuing with the Jewish anti-Semitism, American Jewish issues, activism. So it was just so special, and it was really like a surreal moment. And that's really why everybody wanted me to talk about it today, because he was just so gracious, so nice. He loved the audience. He really does appreciate American history, the work of the veterans, and the military, and he really appreciates their families and friends who have made sacrifices. It's unbelievable. I think the next group of pictures is the one I started talking about. So let's see who's up on the next one. We have a couple of surprises. Yes, that is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in deep conversation with me. And yes, I do know the secretary, and I couldn't be more prouder to call him a friend. And I'll just tell you that as much as I love this picture, my favorite pictures with Pete are, I mean, I call him Pete because I know him and Jen forever, but the secretary, when he was on Fox News, was with me on a trip to Israel. And we were actually together as he was filming a Fox Nation special in a tunnel that unfortunately you see uh, the hostages living in right now. You saw last week a terrible video of one of the hostages being asked to build and dig his own grave while he is given a shovel and a half of bottle of water to drink. I think that went viral internationally, and that's what really uh, the Hamas and Palestinians do to the people that are being held hostage, and they don't really share the truth with you. But Pete and I were there. I mean, Secretary Hegseth, and I also the other another great picture I have with Secretary Hegseth is underneath the Western Wall tunnels that are over 2,000 years old. That factually in history prove that the Jews were in Jerusalem way before the Muslims, because the synagogue, the temple, is underneath the Great Mosque. So we have somebody great in our defense. And as you saw today, and on many other occasions, standing right next to President Trump is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. And I know he's just going to be incredible in this job as he moves forward. The next round of pictures, please. That is Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins. And then we have Tulsi Gabbard. I think also the secretary who I said to her, "You're doing such a great job. Keep exposing the truth." And it's just incredible. There is the anchor from Newsmax, and there's John Fredericks from Real America's Voice, a friend to ours. Now, this picture is, of course, the famous Fight, Fight, Fight. I did take a tour around the White House, and the next picture, if I'm correct, let's see. Okay, this is Congressman uh, Ralph Norman, who's running for governor of North Carolina. He has promised to be a guest on the show in a future date, and a very strong supporter of Israel as well. There we go. And this picture I really wanted to share with the White House fans, because as I'm taking a tour of the East Room, I see our friend Elena's picture of Donald Trump right there. And I said, I've got to share it with her and Joe the Box and all of us at the warehouse who have been actively working to get Elena noticed for years. She was part of the fashion show that we had last year. And I couldn't be more prouder to see her picture and knowing the artist personally in the East Room. And I think we have some more pictures. That's actually the opening to the ladies' room. And I walked around because everybody who knows me knows I love China and the kitchen and serving. And these are just various rooms in the East Room. Various first ladies are have decorated the walls with their portraits. And as you go out, you go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and that's where you go. And of course, here's my picture, just as nice as can be. The president took a picture with me. And of course, again, Fox really covered this a lot. Okay, and I just want to tell you the funniest story that happened to me Sunday night. Like many of you, I wanted to go at 9 o'clock onto HBO Max to watch the season finale of The Gilded Age, and I happened to have been flicking the channels, and my TV was on CNN, and the anchor was talking about the judges against Trump. And all of a sudden, my picture pops up with President Trump. And I laughed. I said, we had nothing to do with Purple Hearts of Veterans. So I gather this picture is going to be used a lot in stories. As you saw, What America News used as their cover. And I know Real America's Voice. I know Lindell TV was there. And it was just a really big honor. And I told you that I was going to do a summary of 10 years, 3 campaigns, and 200 days. So now here is a little bit of my summary of what I think is going on. I shared with you that he never looked better, he never sounded better, and he never looked more confident. I think the fact that so many of us have been with the president since Cleveland, I was there in person, I think that he knows that what he went through, like no other person, to get this second term. And I know that he wants so desperately to be a leader for everyone. It's so obvious. I'm gonna actually read from some of the statements just from today because I don't remember a July and August when a White House was so busy and the news cycle was just so busy. And I'm going to go into some of them. Just today, just received this. President Trump is delivering on his campaign to make DC safe again. And I can't think of anybody who's in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Miami, uh, Boston, Detroit. They can't be saying to themselves, DC is just step one. It's a way to show the world that Democratic governors, Democratic mayors are not helping their constituents. We saw that with Karen Bass, and we remember when the president called her out during the fires, and we're seeing it all over the country. And I just hope that people really appreciate the steps that he, and as we know, Judge Jeanine Pirro and Pam Bondi and others are doing to keep the Capitol safe, and that this could be the first step in keeping our blue cities safe, our blue counties safe. It's Let's be realistic. Safety is not a Republican or Democratic issue, although the Democrats want to make it that way. Crime hurts all of us, regardless where you live, regardless what political party. President Trump's plan is to save all of you, even the most progressives. Just remember that. And that's what a real leader does. Today, we also have, there's just so much of it. Huge growth in the economy. Inflation remains at a steady pace. Let me just get to this one. It remains low, and prices are going down. And Donald Trump and his team, I guess led by Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent and so many underneath them directly, are working to expand currencies with us to keep the stock market high. And I guess eventually the pressure will come with the interest rates for first-time home buyers especially. And he doesn't mind standing at and going to see Powell and discussing it and talking about these issues, which was what makes, who ever remembers Joe Biden doing what Donald Trump did? And then, of course, they're getting ready Friday for this huge summit. Of course, those on the left are attacking him. How could we allow a dictator on American soil. Well, the alternative is ignore the issue and let the wars continue. I heard Donald Trump say very clearly within the first 5 minutes, he will know what will be going on in Ukraine and Russia. I don't think anybody else could say that. We all laughed when we heard Joe Biden's response on 60 Minutes about what was going on. We all know what Joe Biden did in Afghanistan. We have to be honest. President Donald Trump is scaring the world. He's made at least 8 major treaties. You've seen them. You see what he's trying to do in the Middle East. And going back to my beginning about the anti-Semitism, I have a message for you guys on the very right wing. The administration is not anti-Zionism and it's not anti-American or anti-Semitic. The truth is, a strong Israel-America relationship is a strong democracy around the world because so many people rely on Israeli technology and irrigation and business and tourism. I mean, you're going to see now, you saw what happened in France with what Macron did to the visas of the French El Al security. We see every day the violent attacks. Those countries are going to lose billions of dollars in tourism because it's not safe. And just today, it was reported that Christians in France were being attacked going to church. So keep that in mind as you listen to the ultra left and the ultra right that wants to spit out garbage hate. Because that's all it is. It's not fact, and it's definitely not the policy of the Trump administration. And I can tell you that he really wants to leave this administration in a strong hand to follow MAGA, what he started, making it stronger. I just hope, for his sake, that the RNC gets itself in order quickly and really starts to work all the races. Their message is great. They have a great opportunity. They could pick up seats all over, despite all the Democrats crying foul in Texas. I live in New York, and I can tell you it doesn't make any sense that outside of Manhattan, practically everybody votes Republican, and we have so many Democratic congressmen. It doesn't make any sense in Illinois, in California, in New Jersey, in Connecticut. Doesn't make any sense. Massachusetts. Explain to me how Massachusetts does not have one Republican congressman. Donald Trump is on the right track, but he needs help. And that help has to come from the RNC, who can't do it alone. I want to thank him for everything he's done so far, because I know last year people had a very different feeling about being proud Americans. And I know that they are very concerned about the future of our country. And all they do is say, it could be worse. They see who's popping up as Democratic contenders in 2028. Do you want Kamala to run again? Do you want Newsom? Or AOC? Bernie Sanders? Wes Moore from Maryland? Have you seen Baltimore lately? The list goes on and on of Democratic failures that Donald Trump has to deal with. It's up to us to make sure that 2026 is victorious, because if the House goes back in the Democratic hands, we, the American people, the American taxpayers, are going to suffer in every form of our lives, financially, safety, our retirements, jobs. It's going to be over. Do we really want that? Is that what our forefathers left England for 250 years ago? Are we getting ready for a huge 250th birthday in fear? Or are we getting ready in solidarity and victory? Think about what I'm saying to you because it's really, 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 really important. I'll tell you something else that I saw at the White House. I saw a lot of pride in America. I saw a lot of pride in the everyday person. For the fact that so many people had paintings and art there that were there recently shows that Donald Trump cares about all of us. It didn't matter if it was made in a studio as a surprise for him or if it was commissioned. Those portraits, those paintings were side by side. I have a couple people writing to me and texting to me. They want some questions. Okay. Oh, did I take anything from the White House? Yes, I did. I guess we weren't able to show some of the videos that I had brought back and made, but I did actually take the napkins by the refreshments and the hand napkins in the ladies' room. And the funniest thing when I took them, I don't know if you could see them or not, the funniest thing was that a woman was standing next to me and she was taking them. She says, I want to take them. Are you? And I said, of course I am. And she took a part like this big. It was so, so large. So I'm not the only one who does that. Here's my next question. Um, okay. Um, okay. Was anybody from the Trump family there? No, they weren't. It really was amazing that it really stayed military families. And I'm going to tell you the highlight that the left mocked, but we liked it in person, and it was really very sentimental, is when Donald Trump discussed how Purple Heart recipients, after Butler gave him their Purple Hearts, and he really sounded like, I don't deserve this, it's yours. I did nothing, you do everything. Of course, the left twisted that around, but that was really a very, very big highlight of the night, of the day. Um, he just was touched that he could actually bring together from different wars, from different times, different Purple Heart recipients. It was very important to him. Let's see the next question. Everybody is texting me. What do I want to talk about? Okay. How do I know Pete Hegseth? I met uh, I met the secretary through my work of Jewish activism. Like I said, he was doing work with Fox Nation and Fox News, and he has been honored. I think I was actually honored with him in 2017 at an organization that supports Israel, as somebody who did fight in wars in the Middle East. He is fully understands facts about the Middle East and uses his own experiences in his work now with the Pentagon to ensure why it is imperative to have strong military in the Middle East and a strong American-Israeli relationship. The next question, who did I bring with me? Okay, so I did bring, like I said, a Purple Heart recipient from the Vietnam War who is involved in Long Island veterans groups. And I also brought somebody from Long Island who runs a food bank for veterans. And they were both extremely appreciative, and even more, the fact that they got all over the news with me and the president really made headlines for us. In fact, they even got some more donations for the food bank based on the pictures. So that's great. Thank you. Okay. Okay, my next question. Oh, this is a good one. This is from the America First Vets group, one of the groups I do work with, and that I am going to be talking about a lot as we approach the 250th anniversary and the history of Jewish military men and donors. I'm going to be doing a lot with that, and that was one of the reasons I was there. Um, like I said, I represent several organizations, and I have participated this year in multiple events and multiple meetings leading up to the 250th anniversary, and talking about people like Mickey Marcus, talking about people who financed the American Revolution, like Chaim Solomon, who was a Jewish banker who actually funded George Washington and never got back the money and died poor, and really in major debt. His family suffered tremendously because of the sacrifices he made. Um, yes, next question. How does the West Wing compare to the East Room? As I said, this was very intimate. I've never been to one party so intimate. Of course, it's great to go into the West Wing and to take a tour of the White House and participate in the glamorous parties. But there is nothing like being in a small room and being, next to the president. That is an unbelievable experience. Now, I know that our number one President Trump fan said, Cindy, I'm coming on the show to close with you. And I think he's going to be on any minute. Is he there? I think we're going to get him. I believe he's coming on shortly. And of course, I'm talking about Joe the Box, who actually is so patriotic. He is funding all these shows. I would love your support in funding the America First Warehouse, otherwise known as the Trump Museum, where things happen for America First. I believe he's coming in.
Cindy
And
Gross, how are you?
thank you so much. I said, when
Can
I
you
told
hear
him
me?
I was doing, I could hear you perfectly.
Well, that's good news. I was
So
listening to your show. I'm so excited. How lucky and blessed are you to be spending that quality time with our great president?
it was my honor, honestly. And I only hope that I could actually do more and make a difference in the future with the work I am doing.
I have a feeling you are, and I have a feeling you're gonna.
So when I said I was doing the show, you said, I'm coming on. And I said, of course. Joe is the number one fan I know of President Trump. He actually has a very successful private business, and he puts so much of the profits into the warehouse. He puts his heart and his money and his time that he could be spending with his family into the warehouse to ensure that people that are America First have a home where they feel comfortable. He has, through the years, invited people like Tom Holman, who is where borders are, probably, I would say, in the top three people that people talk about the most of doing a great job. Um, you've had Cash Patel, you've had so many of them. Some you've had members of the family. You've had his biggest media fans. So tell us when you heard that one of your hosts were going to the White House, and then you saw the picture of the president with me. What was your feeling?
I am telling you, I was so blown away to see you, Cindy, there with the president, and he smiled with you. The two of you look so beautiful together. I want to get it framed. I'm going to put it next to my bed at night. That's how beautiful it was.
Well, I'll tell you, I think my husband's doing that first, but they had to get multiple.
Was your husband with you?
And then I found Elena's picture.
Right. Beautiful.
That was great also. No, my husband did not go. I the ticket that I actually had for my husband, I gave to a veteran.
You had said that. That was quite an event to be at. I was very impressed and surprised at that. The Purple Heart is what it was. Wasn't that a special dinner to
Correct.
honor
He
the?
had a proclamation declaring Purple Heart Day, but more important than that, his what he felt for these military men and women, it was just incredible. And giving them all the pens that he wrote, and then he was saying these are not auto pens, I'm really writing it. He was in true form of having a good time. He really enjoyed being there. You could see it on his face. I've been with him at other times where he spoke and left. He wasn't this way here. He was honored to be among them. He felt like the little man next to the heroes.
What an incredible man he is, and I will tell you, I do love the way he handles himself. In the beginning, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, he was angry. And like most of us Americans are, many of us are still angry. But now he's gotten the poise, he's gotten the wisdom and the charisma just to be able to handle any of the evil attacks that are thrown on him on a regular basis. And what I am proud about with you, Cindy Gross, is you and your show is bringing the attention to your community that is hungering for truth. So you're able to do this for us, and we appreciate that you were able to do that. It's a job I got going on in this city. I'll call you back. I was so busy. What a great thing, the Trump economy.
Can we tell people who you're going to be working with? Are we allowed?
Yeah. Well, I don't see why not. I'll be traveling back down to Washington, D.C., the city that is now going to be safe, which I'm very excited about, a safe city down there. And we're working down there. We're supporting Real America Voice, one of the first networks that are not afraid about the truth. And we're moving the War Room studio. Steve Bannon's personal studio is moving. I can't tell you where they're going from and to, though.
You don't have to tell us that. Just the fact that patriots are working together is incredible.
That's a very good point, I will tell you, because there are hundreds and hundreds of moving companies that they could use. They trust me. They trust what I've done, and I'm going to go down, and I'm not going to let them down. I am excited to be part of it and see it because we're really on the new media. Cindy, and I don't know if I told you this, we're really pushing for America First media and television. We want to be able to go online with an app to get to that level where we can offer full programming across the board for the America First patriot or the American citizen. Really, that's what it is, because the network is all based on us.
Tell us some of the events coming up, because unlike other stations, this place has loads of live events.
We are so excited with pop culture. We love pop culture. We feel that comedy's making a very, very good comeback. But this weekend, we start Friday night with live Studio 6B television show here at the Warehouse. It's a free event. The doors open about 7:30. People tailgate before they come in. On Saturday night, the biggest event that I've had in quite some time is the Journey Band. It's the band itself is coming. It's all these guys that play the part. Steve Perry, all the great songs from Journey is going to be performing it live here at the Warehouse. We got about almost 80 to 100 seats are going to be sold. We got room for a lot more people. We think we're going to bring it in. And listen, it's the 80s and coming back again with Journey. Live music here at the America First Warehouse.
Well, I will tell you, probably the best night of my life during the campaign was sitting with about 500 people watching the first debate against Biden and Trump, and watching Biden talk, and then Trump said, I have no idea what he's talking about. The place went wild.
We were dying on that. That was a great moment in time. But may I remind you of another time that I thought was absolutely fantastic? We had the New York fashion show here at the America First Warehouse, where Cindy was able to get some beautiful artists and creators that didn't have they weren't given the time of day in New York City, but we welcomed them out here, didn't we, Cindy? That was a great day.
certainly did. In fact, Jimmy Kimmel made fun of me in my Juice Juice Trump jacket. And look where Jimmy Kimmel is now, and look where I am now. So you see?
Yes, I do see. I
And we
do
will share
believe.
that picture again with the audience after the show. We will get it to them because people don't really realize what actually is going on in culture, in everyday life because of Trump.
Well, it's
And of course,
crazy.
somebody else just moved to Australia because they're so unhappy with Trump. And the
Yeah,
fact
well,
that everybody
I,
is scared.
that's a Trump derangement syndrome. It's very sad because anybody with common sense can see. I'm not interested in saving the world at this time, although Trump is creating peace all over the place, Cindy, as you were talking about most of your show, the peacemaker that Donald Trump is. But he's bringing America to the greatness that it was designed to be. These crazy communist Democratic Party has done everything they could to stifle us, everything they could to divide us, right? And they were very successful at it because they're nefarious in the things that they do, so they're motivated by that. But you and me, we follow the Word of God, and we understand that God wants us to be respectful for everybody. We're not out there burning buildings or hitting people or spitting on them. This is the work of the evil one. So I'm very motivated. I love the Old Testament. I love the New Testament, Cindy. You know that. I think it's a big book, you know?
I can tell you next month I'm in DC for something else, and then October I'm in Israel. So with something pretty big. So I just hope that all of this, I'm going to bring shows like this with exclusives to the warehouse. And it's just been, I mean, I've met, of course, almost everybody in the Trump family. I've I've met J.D. Vance way at the beginning of his campaign. I mean, I've met many of the congressmen. I know congressmen and senators, but this was an experience of a lifetime. And I cannot begin to tell you how nice the president was one on one.
He's a real man. He's a real person. He cares. He bleeds. We saw that when he got shot in the ear. And just the rhetoric about him, it's just amazing because his actions, like your actions, Cindy, speak way louder than words.
Well, thank you. You know what? This is why I will always do what I can to promote the America First Warehouse and our shows. And really, next week, we have something super, super special that our patriots, everybody who's listening and watching, whether or not it's on X or Facebook or Rumble, you have an opportunity to actually benefit from watching these shows and being a part of using your consumer dollars very, very patriotically. And I am going to help you save money, buy American. I'm going to help you avoid tariffs, budget yourself, and of course, the most important thing is toxic free. I can't think of any way to say I'm a proud American than buying from a patriotic company, and you're going to join us in this revolution. We don't have to shop at Sephora or go, fight people who don't like jeans or movies or anything else. We have more power with our wallets than you realize.
I think they take it for granted, and I think that some of the numbers that they show continuously, where there might even be like 80% of the people believe that the border should be closed and illegals shouldn't be get in. I really don't think that's the truth. I think it's more like 90, 95%, really. And the ones that have the small voice who yell the loudest. We have been shut down for way too long. Our voices are getting louder because there are so many more of us. Thank you, Cindy Gross, everything you do.
I thank you so much, Joe the Box. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this and for asking me to share it. I will be sharing the little videos. I know we had a little technical difficulty, but the video of the president walking in officially, signing the executive order officially, stuff that you haven't really seen other
Did you get
places.
a pen? Did he give you a pen?
I'm happy enough to get a smile.
I
And I'm
saw you got a
flattered enough.
napkin.
Yes, I got two napkins. I got the bathroom napkin and the kitchen napkin.
Good for you. Thank you, Cindy.
I can't thank you enough. And with that, we're going to be closing. And like I said, I'm not closing. It's only 200 days in. I'll tell you a funny story. I have a lot of friends that were there already, this administration, and I want to know what the difference was going to be like 45 and 47. I had been invited before, but I never got down there. But going down for this was wow. And I know that it's something I will never forget. I don't even know if I have to go back anymore. I don't know if I could top this experience. But I will do whatever my president and his administration want me to do to make America great again, keep America great, save the hostages, bring until the last hostage comes home, bring peace in the Middle East and around the world, and secure education because, as many of you know, I called out education 20 years ago when no one wanted to listen to me. And now I hope the teachers' unions really suffer and that President Trump really takes a very strong stand uh, against all this hate and failure. See you next week, everybody. I'm Cindy Gross, the U.S. Patriot, and this is Right for America.